It's Brad Bush, GENBAND's Chief Marketing Officer.
Good morning, everybody. I hope everybody did survive last night. It was a really fun party. I had a great time. I'm kind of a rock and roller, so I really enjoyed the band last night and getting to see David up there doing his guitar thing, do a little Pete Townsend. Today I'm going to talk about one of my favorite topics, which is WebRTC. And Doug Money wrote last week that I might have an I Love WebRTC tattoo somewhere, but I'm not going to show it to anybody. Actually, I don't have it, but I do really love WebRTC, and I'm so excited today to share with you a bit of what I see, where WebRTC is, explain what WebRTC is, show a few real-world use cases of WebRTC, similar to what Roy just showed and what we showed in Candy. We're going to show a few more, and then tell you a little bit about where I think the WebRTC technology and movement is heading. So with that, let's start off with some of the major trends. First of all, communications are becoming embedded everywhere. With ubiquitous computing, computers are everywhere. Wearables have become standard place. The Internet of Things and the Internet of Everything is becoming pervasive and will become pervasive. And all of these equal real-time communications that are more needed by the providers and more needed by the enterprises and more needed by the end users. And what I believe all of this will mean to our industry and to communications in general is that communications will become more of a human contextual moment. And let me break that down. First of all, more human. Right now, we live in a digital age where communications is much more machine-related. And we are moving to where video and voice will become ubiquitous, just like computing is ubiquitous. Contextual, it will be where you are in your business process, where you are in your shopping decision, the communication will come to you. And finally, in the moment, right in that business moment. So I believe that human contextual moment is really what we're looking for and what WebRTC is solving. So setting all that up, I want to go and now tell you a little bit about how WebRTC is helping that and what WebRTC is doing that's different. Why now? We've had click to call on the internet. What makes WebRTC different? So this is my WebRTC 101 chart. And it explains why the business model is changing. First of all, when you had HTML5, which is a rich browser-based markup language, and you added audio and video to it without plugins, you got all these new business models. You got Vimeo and Netflix and Pandora and Spotify and HBO Go, and all the value that David and Mark talked about being created yesterday was created. Now with HTML5 adding real-time communications without plugins, you're going to see many new business models. We're starting to see the early business cases of those, and we really haven't seen how these business models yet will be disrupted. We're going to think about some of them today, but we're thinking about the first generation business models. Netflix, Pandora, HBO Go are second or third degree business models. So I think that where this technology will go is still in its infant stages. So a few of to set the landscape a little bit of where we are in WebRTC, what the pluses and minuses are. Mark talked about how many actual active use cases there are, active users there are on WebRTC, but there are actually 1 billion capable endpoints right now with WebRTC. It's available in Google's Chrome and Chrome for Android, as well as Firefox and Opera, and Android and Firefox are both baking that directly into their operating systems. You've seen in a couple of slides, and in my slide, Amazon Mayday is one of the first sort of purpose-built applications to use the click-to-do consumer help. And I see the data channel as emerging as a major player, and we'll talk about that a little bit more on how the data channel. So not only do we have in WebRTC real-time voice, video, but we have the ability to do real-time data, which is going to change a lot of things. Now on the negative side, which are negatives that are going to be solved. Internet Explorer is still not supported. They're in the early stages of supporting some of the standard. Apple Safari is not yet supporting, but they're again in some of the early stages. There's a video codec discussion with H.264, the telecom standard, and VPA, Google standard, both now being supported, and I suspect that will take care of itself in that both standards will be supported. And then signaling is defined by the programmer. So that means that is a positive and a negative to me. You can use SIP signaling. You can actually use the data channel for signaling. You can use many other ways to do the signaling side, but you have to figure it out. So those are the things that are still sort of being solved as the standard is being finished. And the other thing, the standard is still not at 1.0. We're getting all this commercial movement on a standard that is not quite 1.0, although right near it. And you can see that it definitely has uptake because we're talking about it and the market is moving. Speaking of how much movement we see, that 1 billion is expected. Dean Bubley, who is one of the analysts that covers WebRTC deeply, he thinks that by the end of 2016, that 1 billion accessible device number will be 4 billion. So we're talking 4 times growth in just 2 years on just access points. And that includes mobile devices and tablets and web browsers and embedded solutions. And I think all of those you'll see grow to make this technology really come alive. And we're already seeing it in the press and in M&A activity. A little company named WhatsApp got bought by Facebook and at a valuation of $19 billion, and no matter what you think of that, $19 billion of value is real value being created for real-time communications. And what you may not know is Snapchat just made a purchase of one of the most preeminent developers of WebRTC solutions, AdLive, a partner of ours that helps us with some things. And AdLive was bought wholesale by Snapchat to be able to do their video portion of their new feature. So the M&A, I see this M&A movement continuing, and you're also starting to see WebRTC talked about in the mainstream press. Just last week, The Economist mentioned, "You're in my browser," and they wrote an entire introduction to what WebRTC is. So you're starting to see all of these pickups of the technology. So it's definitely getting talked about, and it's very exciting about where we are at this point in time. So what does GENBAND bring to the picture? Where do we fit in? What are we able to do to help you? Well, the first thing that we're able to do, and BG touched on this, but I want to go in more depth, is bridge the telco and the web world. And we've created a WebRTC gateway that allows you to take the capabilities that you have and connect them to the web capabilities. So here is my geek slide, although I'm a little bit more geeky than Roy. He's a marketing guy that's doing the technology, and I'm a technology guy that's doing the marketing, so that's kind of fun. So this is my geeky slide. So on the left, you'll see you have your application server and all the other things that GENBAND gives you, and the Spider gateway sits in the middle and connects it to the things that Roy's been talking about on the right side. New retail experiences, web experiences, customer solutions, all of that, vertical solutions on the right side. And what are the things that the GENBAND Spider gives to you? And this gets a little bit more geeky. We're going to get a little technical. We provide what are called REST-based developer interfaces. So you don't have to understand SIP. You can write in the way a programmer writes. These REST-based APIs are the way that a programmer looks at developing. So they're very easy for a developer to answer. We also secure WebRTC media, so we actually provide multi-stream connections. We provide the way to mix media and voice. WebRTC is great at peer-to-peer, and you can write peer-to-peer, but actually writing multi-mixing applications is more difficult without somebody helping you do that intermediation. And the third thing is SIP networking, connectivity. We sort of hide the SIP networking changes in the background. So we put an API in front of that, and then you can use that API, and if the SIP stuff changes and there's new standards on SIP, You keep your API, you don't have to rewrite your code, and we keep changing it in the background. And then finally, we support all the WebRTC standards, especially the security standards, which are called stun and turn, which help WebRTC transverse NATs and be more secure. So those are built right into the WebRTC gateway. So we think it's a very exciting development. We've had this out as a product for a year, where we feel that we're on the forefront of this market. And as Roy said, this is sort of the genesis of much of the technology that we're talking about. The APIs, Candy, are all built off of this seed as the genesis. We're also very excited about where we are with our unified communications and collaboration tools inside of WebRTC. And if you haven't had a chance to see it, at the end of the day, go to the demo center and see our WebRTC client in the browser. It is really unique in that it is the same exact interface that we have on the tablet right inside the browser. So you can drag and drop, you can add multiple calls, you can change modalities. So if you're in a conference call and you want to go to a video call, you just click one button and do that. One of the analysts that I talked to yesterday said it was the most unique and advanced unified communications tool that they had seen, and that's counting the tablet version. But what's really cool is we built the entire thing on the web. No plugin needed. You just come to it and load it up, and you're ready to do unified communications. And one thing that I missed on that slide, and I won't go back to it, but the main thing that for you as a deployment prime, either as a CIO or as a service provider selling in enterprises, is that capability lets you train once and deploy all the devices without having to train again, since they're the same. And because WebRTC is in the browser, you don't have to deploy software. So as a CIO, your headaches are severely reduced. And I think that it's the way that the technology is going, being able to have that right directly in the browser. So David touched on this Toy Genius experience, and I want to go through it a little bit more. It's in the Empiger booth in the showcase, and I really think that everybody should go see this, because this is one of the coolest things that we're doing. It is an actual assisted selling, full assisted selling capability shown both on the web, and I'll show mobile on the next slide. On the web, you come and you're greeted by a assisted selling representative, and what they can do is not only talk to you, but they can move toys to your screen and show toys on your screen, show videos on your screen, and suggest new products, get feedback from you back and forth. You see that going? And then they can help you complete the sale and close the shopping cart for you. So it's a full immersive shopping interface. And the cool part is, what we've done is take the same thing to the web. I mean, same thing that we have on the web, we've taken it to mobile. So we're really, really excited. Our SDKs for Candy were used to create this. And we are really excited about how this technology is making these kind of interactive selling experiences different. And where I see this going is new things for this type of selling, social selling. We showed some of that where you get your friends to help you pick yesterday in the demo. Point-of-sale based help. So you're sitting in a store and instead of going and finding a red or blue shirt guy that knows every product in the store, you either scan a QR code or you press a button and it knows, because the location-based service is where you are in the store, and it gets you to the expert of the TV section or the blender section. So you don't have to go find a generic guy. You could pull up the exact guy that you need in the store and then have a discussion that way. We see many people not wanting to interact in the store, and they go and buy things on their mobile. This allows the stores to capture. And then finally, Family Assist, which is one of my favorite scenarios. You're standing in the store, and I've done this before. I have 3 girls, but when they were little, I would go to the store to buy diapers late at night because we're out of diapers. And I'd stand in the store with like 50 diapers there, and it would have been great to have, not just to have to call, but to have a Family Assist where I could show and they'd know what was in the store, and my wife could just say, get this one, and I wouldn't have to explain everything that was there. So we see these kind of interactive shopping experiences being some of the next generation use cases. So what's our recommended approach? And I'm going to go through a few more use cases. We think the technology is new, but it's ready. You've seen Candy, you've seen what Roy talked about, you've seen what Mark talked about. It complements the existing offers. What we're showing here is a quick way to get started. We have a plug-in for Salesforce.com that we built that easily pops comments up and down, and you saw yesterday the same type of CRM integration we have working with SAP. We're really excited about that partnership. But you need to start thinking about how to build this into your support systems, how to build it into your storefronts, and starting small and building from there, I think, is the way to approach the adoption. So what can you do to find the right use cases? Think beyond your network. Think about what your customers are, how they're interacting with your brand, how they're interacting with your company, how your employees are interacting with each other. This slide shows our JAM product from SAP, which is our internal enterprise collaboration suite that we're using to discuss Candy, and it shows how we're starting to add real-time communications to that to be able to, if you see somebody and they're talking about something and you want to talk to them about it in real time, you can click on their picture and talk to them instead of just have to wait. So for internal communications, for external communications, for these selling, for support, and then start thinking about those second and third business models, that approaches that you can get to. So before I close, I want to actually talk a little bit more about what's next for WebRTC. We touched on it a little bit. ORTC, it's Microsoft supporting this and many other people. It's a sibling of WebRTC, has many similar technologies, but it makes the negotiation a little less telco-like between the clients. Data channel integration, I do believe that the data channel innovation and integration will be a major point for WebRTC and maybe bigger than the voice and video part of real-time communications. We've already seen peer-to-peer file sharing applications, game data being shared as part of WebRTC. These use cases are out and being trialed and used in real-world applications. I see Chrome and Firefox integrating apps in their app store, and Firefox already put a web-based calling system into their latest demo version of their browser. So I see that as a push. Mobile adoption, mobile apps will come, but I think that that's going to come in purpose-built mobile apps that wrap up the WebRTC technology. And then finally, I do think Microsoft and Apple will support the technology. I am going to make a prediction that in the next 18 months it'll at least be on their roadmap, and I actually think they'll probably have products out. Microsoft is already supporting the ORTC standard, and Apple did everything but support WebRTC on iOS 8 announcement. They came right up to the edge. They actually even have a few of the WebRTC calls in the iOS, but they're not calling it WebRTC. So they're almost supporting all of the things it does, but they're not supporting it. So we're right on the cusp of it. And as my other good friend Tasai Levy, who is beyond Dean, probably the most prevalent analyst covering the space, he said WebRTC is less of a standard and more of a movement, and it's time to join the movement, and GENBAND is ready to help you do that. Don't forget, we are here to help, and you will be assimilated. I'm not wearing the glasses. I'm wearing my normal glasses. But Candy is here, and so we're going to be, over the next few months, helping our partners and helping our customers to learn to use the technology and hook the APIs, but a big portion of Candy is WebRTC. It's also hooking up to our existing APIs and making sure all of that works together. But the great part is that we built that for you, like Roy said, built the Lego blocks, and you can use it and start using the technology in an outcome-based environment now.